Braun, Todd Father, Pierzynski and Kratz, and we did it. We're on national television. Let's go.
Solid.
Clap it up.
We'll take that all day.
Isn't YouTube national too?
Everything is national and global.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Obviously, Kratz and Perizynski are usually in fancy studios like Todd Father and me, but they've got their kids playing some games down south. AJ, you pumped to be on Bally Sports?
I am, but down south, I'm north, actually. I went north. I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually went up to go to these games. Scott, we're going to have a geography lesson later.
No. You went up. I'm going down to my friends, AJ and Kratz. We're in the Northeast, it's called. I know you don't come around here often, but it's actually decent weather right now.
Oof, that one day of decent weather?
Yeah. But anyway, we're really excited about it. Yes, the one day of decent weather on the day that we announce we will be on Bally Sports TV every single weekday, all season long, 1 to 3 Eastern time. So we'll be able to chat with you, maybe to a new audience if you're seeing the show for the first time right now. Hello to you, and let's show you how we do it. So let's charge the mound to start. Lot of juice from the weekend. A lot of sticky stuff, too. So Edwin Diaz comes in to close it out in the 9th for the New York Metropolitans, who are 13-6 in the month of June. They did take down the Cubs in the series this weekend, but Edwin was not allowed to pitch on Sunday night. Why? Because his hand is goopy.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. And I'm a big Edwin Diaz guy, and you can zoom in on everything now, and you can figure out what guys are doing and the expectations and what's going on. And I think they did make the right decision, if you want the truth. Not for nothing. His hands looked pretty sticky. It looked like he had some go-up on there. I don't know exactly what it was, but we'll hear from him and others too as well.
Yeah, we heard from Vic Carapazzo, the crew chief, who said it definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what the feeling is. This was very sticky. So let's play the audio, the postgame from Edwin Diaz too, right after we show you what was going down here. Mets were leading 5-2. All good. Jake Diekman came in and closed out the game. Mets are on fire right now, but Diaz was disagreeing, as you can see. They eventually boot him from the game. And then post-game, Edwin Diaz really just backed what he was doing and said nothing was out of the ordinary for him. So here he is.
I just say I use the same thing always. I rock rosin, sweat, and I put my hand on the dirt a little bit because I need to have some grip on the ball. So that's why I was explaining to them, but they said it was too much thick. I understood, but at the end of the day, I was using rock rosin, sweat, and put my hand on the dirt. I was really surprised because I didn't have anything on my hand, my glove, my belt. They always check my hat, everything. And they thought that was sticky a lot. And I just said, hey, you can check my hand, smell my hand. They didn't smell anything, but they throw me out again.
AJ, innocent, guilty?
No. Can we show the picture of his hand, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's show the picture of his hand. I remember, what was it? Kenny Rogers was in the World Series.
Kenny Rogers.
Yep. And he had his hand looked like that hand. And his was pine tar. But, dude, wow. That is a lot of goop. I don't know what the goop is. If it's rosin, that's a lot of rosin and spit. And
dirt.
Sweat and dirt. But whatever. I never seen a hand. I played, I played with thousands of pitchers, and I never seen a hand look like that.
This is what I see there. Obviously, only Edwin knows what's on there. But if you see the little white that's on his hands, when guys, not saying use spider tack, I'm not saying that. I'm saying when guys would use spider tack, parts of the ball would actually rip off in their hand. So that's like, to me, there's clearly something there. If it was just dirt, dang, they got some sticky dirt in the bullpen in Chicago.
Listen,
he's going to get a 10-game suspension. That's auto when this happens.
Whatever happens, I mean, it is what it is. Nothing ever surprises me or any of us anymore. But I got to give him a little bit of credit, though. He did, English isn't his first language, and he did come out. He didn't have an interpreter. You could take what he says in a different way, too, as well. So I'll give him credit for that because he is an upstanding person, from getting to know him. But I think he did make a mistake here, and I think he's going to have to pay for it for those 10 games. So hopefully he can figure something out and go about his business a different way, because if he does this again, they're going to be on him. Now, after one thing happens, they're going to be looking again, and hopefully they figure something out, because he is a really good pitcher, and I don't even think he needs that to throw well because he is that good of a closer.
Yeah, then they brought Drew Smith in, and Drew Smith called his own mound visit for the trainers, pitched to one more hitter, and then they pulled him, and then they had to bring Diekman in. They were just saying, if you're watching the game, they were like, there's some dark things, some dark shadows over top of the Mets. And I'm like, what is going on? Diekman's like, Drew Smith didn't even think he needed to come into the game. And then he comes out, and then Diekman's got to get the last out, and they go to Patrick Wisdom. I was like, oh no, don't let this game get ruined.
Here's my question. How many times did you guys in a shower after a game? By the way, my bed is made so good.
Oh, it's perfect. You didn't do it.
Very well.
Oh, military grade. But how many times did you guys see guys in the shower or after a game pitchers and they're just like scrubbing their hands to get the junk off their fingers, right? Like, I mean, there were dudes in there for like 10 minutes like, how am I going to get this off before I can go eat my food? I mean, they're just scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. That's what Edwin Diaz's hands look like. They look like he had put – listen, it might be rosin, it might be dirt. Well, why can't we do a test right there? We can't scrape some of that off somehow and put it in like a slide and send it off to Major League Baseball and find out what it is? Why is it such a mystery? Like, we're better than this. Technologically, we should be better than this and should be able to figure out how to figure out what was on his hands. Just scrape some off, put it in a bag, send it off, and let the world know, hey, he had rosin and dirt. Our bad, MLB.
Right, and the interpretation, though, is if it's too sticky, it's too sticky. That's how the league's going with it. We've talked about this for a year and a half now, right? No matter what is on your hands, even if they are legal substances, it can become an illegal substance if it gets too sticky on the hands. The only way to solve this in terms of a debate is to have a sticky test, like an actual test that exists. We are in 2024. That's more of like a 2052 thing. We're not there yet. But for now, we just have to go off what the umps say, and they say that he is suspended for 10 games. But Mets are rolling. One more thing from that series, they crushed Imanaga on Friday. Crushed him. Oof. They were all over his
Second time through, yes, AJ.
Second time they faced him. We've seen a pattern here with Imanaga. Second time, guys have made adjustments to him.
Okay.
They're the
so
first
keep
team.
An eye on that. Yep.
First team that's seen him twice.
His ERA spiked.
Start. Paul Steen's second start, he faced the same team.
No, you're right. You're right.
He's got better.
Very different. Very different arsenal. Yeah, Imanaga is close to a 3 ERA now. Got smacked the other day. Former Met Max Scherzer is back. Offseason back surgery. Had the thumb issue with the rehab outing, and then eventually makes his way back. You know what he's turning next month?
He's got to be in the fours, right?
The big 4-0.
4-0
next month. 5 innings.
Wow.
4 Ks. He took a no-no into the 5th. MJ Melendez got the double off him in the 5th, but the Rangers swept the Royals. Max is back. What if Max looks really good? Because, he's had his ups and downs the last, year or so? Or last year with the Mets, I think he didn't have the slider for a while, and then that came back. But, what if Max is Max for the Rangers?
Oh, my God. They need this. I mean, the way the season's been going a little shaky. The Seattle's been dominating that whole division right now. I think this is huge for them. And then you think about DeGrom maybe making a start at the end of the year, making a little push. I mean, is it unlikely? Probably. But, yeah, this team, it's a good kick in the rear end for this team. It's a guy that you love and respect, and you know what he's going to bring to the table. And, 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, give it to the bullpen after that. It's only going to get better and better with distance, I think, with him too as well.
Well, can they get some offense? And if Wyatt Langford keeps doing what he's doing, he's kind of figured it out a little bit. But my thing is Max looked great. I mean, 5 innings, obviously no runs. But if this is what he gives him, he doesn't have to give him this. But if he can give him 5 or 6 innings and keep him in games, the Rangers are going to be dangerous. And we always thought they'd be better than where they are. I mean, listen, the Rangers right now, 6.5 out, right? They're not dead. They're also kind of in the wild card race. So, I mean, they're 4.5 out of the wild card race, and they're only going to keep getting better. Like Todd said, DeGrom, Molly, right, are coming back. Spores is back. Bradford, will they ever see DeGrom? We don't know this year. But listen, they're going to continue to get better and better and better, and they are a dangerous team, especially if they get in, because you don't want to see them once they get in.
I know he went perfect, but I need to see that velo continue to tick up. So to me, the 3rd and 4th start for Max will be really telltale if he's going to anchor this rotation, because the lineup, they'll start hitting.
Yeah, it was 93 average 4-seam, which was a little bit down from last year, but not a ton. think it was down about a tick from last year. I think it was around 94 last year. And then Jose Urena came in and went 4 shutout innings, by the way, a little tandem start. But they swept the Royals. They won 4-0 yesterday. And I promised one FT fan, I'm forgetting the name, but I was going back and forth with them. I think it was on our Instagram about Josh Smith. I'd give him a shout out because he hit his 7th home run. And I think he's got the best OPS and OPS plus and all that stuff for the Rangers right now. He has been a stud and somewhat of a savior for a lineup that just did not put it together to start the year. Do you know Josh Smith has a 149 OPS plus? He's played a bunch of games. He's got a 3.4 WAR. He's probably towards the top in that category, or pretty high up. That's really high number already for halfway through the season. And he's played in 73 games. He's played just about every day for this team. He's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
ask
shout out to him.
Ask Bruce Bochy.
Is he talking him up?
Every time I do a Rangers game, it will say Josh Smith has done something to save our season. He has been a savior for us because Young's been out, obviously. Langford and why can't I think of the other? Carter. Evan Carter haven't done much for him, right? They've both been hurt. Some of the other guys, Nathaniel Lowe's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So he's like, listen, Josh Smith, he should go to the All-Star game. Like, if you talk to Bruce Bochy, he knows about who Josh Smith is, and kind of an unheralded guy out of LSU, but here he is making a huge impact in the major leagues.
Yeah, he's not getting enough love in voting, but we'll see if, maybe that can tick up. Maybe we should get him on the show. But we'll step aside real quick on Bally Sports TV and on the Bally Sports app, and we'll stay here on the FT YouTube channel. All right, FT fam, let's talk about SeatGeek for a moment, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. They got you covered for your baseball ticket needs. Over 28 million downloads. That makes them the #1 rated ticketing app. And they've got your tickets to not just games, but festivals, concerts, the whole deal. Who wants to throw a game out there that they'd grab a ticket for tonight if they hit up the SeatGeek app? Anyone got something good for us?
I'm going Dodgers, White Sox, croquet, man. I love it. I love them. I think Paxton might be throwing.
Croquet is what you eat, right? Paper crochet is what we watch. Close enough.
Croquet is the game you play where you hit the ball between the little
gates. Right.
Where you hit the ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
My biscuit.
I like it.
But he's filthy. AJ knows all about him. So I want to see him live and in person to see what all the hype's all about.
I'll throw Michael Lorenzen against Freddie Peralta out there. The Rangers coming off a big weekend, but Freddie P trying to stop that. So we'll see how that goes. Anyone else?
Give me Lance Lynn. I want Lance Lynn going up against Schwellenbach. The Cardinals are the hottest team since like May 12th or something in the National League. I think they're like 34 and 12 or 17, something like that. So can Lance Lynn keep it going? We'll see. Listen, I want to go. Can I go to? Oh man, it's tough because you guys picked the good games. How about? I'll go to Boston, Hawkamania against Bassett, right? Isn't it Bassett versus Hawkamania? Plus, I can see Papelbon and give me one of those Hawkamania shirts. We can rock it together and maybe have an adult beverage.
Yeah, I like that. All right, so you pick up your tickets on SeatGeek, backed by their buyer guarantee. It's the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. And FT has the promo code for you. We talk about the games to look at each day. If you happen to be in that neck of the country, go for it. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek, $20 off your first purchase with the promo code F-O-U-L. And you can click the link in the description or in the chat. I'll drop it in there like I do every day to download the app. And make sure you sign up even if you don't want to get tickets to a game tonight. So you've got it already in the account. So let's say later in the week, you're like, cool, I want to go. You've already got the $20 off in your account. That's promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L, and we're coming right back to FT in about 10 seconds. Back on FT with our first guest during our run here on Bally Sports, Danny Coulombe, joining us from the Baltimore Orioles right now. Danny, great to have you on. And first off, of course, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, man, doing good. Started my rehab today in Sarasota. Yeah, starting the long process to get back. Hopefully, some point in September.
Rough life in Sarasota. Rough
Oh
life down
man,
there.
absolutely gonna just soak up some sun and definitely enjoy this time with my family.
Hey, so take me through, obviously, when you first go down, when you learned the news, and I know you mentioned September is hopefully the plan. So how does the progression work? Like, do you have it all written down? How does a team kind of line up your timetable?
Yeah, with me, I didn't get anything structurally done, so it's really how I'm feeling. I got some bone chips removed, so as long as like we keep progressing and I get my range of motion back, we can really start progressing quickly. So generally the timeline's 10 to 12 weeks. Hopefully, we'll be on the shorter end of that, but there's definitely a progression to follow, and there's check marks to get to. But yeah, no, I feel pretty good.
Is there pain? Is there pain involved? Because when you kind of dumb it down, you say, nothing structurally done.
Yeah.
I've had a bone chip removed, and there was pain for me all up until one like magic day, and it just went away.
Yeah, for me, my elbow swelled up after my outing, and that was kind of the concerning part. I could have probably kept throwing through it, but it's not good if your arm's swelling up. So yeah, we just decided as a team to go get it fixed, and we're hoping that I was going to be down for 6 weeks anyway with no throw, so it was like let's fix the problem, and then hopefully get back for the most important part of this season. And we got a pretty good team, so hopefully we'll play in late in October.
Danny, what's going on in Baltimore? You guys got a bunch of guys going down with elbows. Obviously you lost some guys a little bit. You're the lucky one, right, with just the bone chips. But man, is it like the most unlucky thing you've ever seen right now with your pitching staff?
Yeah, it's been wild. Obviously with Bradish having the strain earlier in the year, we kind of had, he was, you don't want to say a ticking time bomb, but we knew he had a tear in there. So it was a matter of how long he'd get before this happened. That guy is a warrior. What he went through and what he was pitching through, I mean, having a heat pack in between innings. The other guys, John Means had the flexor thing last year too. So, you just, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just been really unlucky, but we have so much good depth, and the fact we can just fill in a few guys and they've been doing really well. It's a testament to what Mike Elias has done with the depth he's built.
I feel like you kind of revived yourself here in Baltimore. I know you're a big man over there in Oakland. Struggle a little bit with the Twins. Is there a difference, coaching mentality, something you did different, or is it just go out there and throw it and be my best self I can be?
Yeah, the difference for me was, I spin the ball really well. I've always had a really good curveball. And so, I a few years ago, I was like, I'm going to start trying to throw more spin pitches. That's what I do well. Like, I don't throw hard. So it's like I might as well do what I do well a lot. And so, I added a sweeper 2 years ago or last year with the Twins in spring training, and it made a huge difference. And, and then a cutter too. So it's like, you're getting when I'm coming to the game, I'm most likely going to spin you a lot. So I think for me, it was more just they put you in really good positions to succeed in Baltimore. And then on top of that, you can see it. I'm throwing a sweeper, a curveball, a cutter, just a lot of different pitches and a lot of different looks. And it's hard as a hitter when a guy comes in there and he's a reliever and he has 5 or 6 pitches. You're like, what do I sit on? So that's kind of I'm trying to play into that aspect.
Come on, let's be honest. Like, this is an honest show. You know exactly what changed, and it was when you gave me your apartment. We have to go back to 2019. DC we're in Scranton together. I know it's shocking you guys that I was in Scranton, but I got there and he took his out. He gave me his house that he was staying in, and so I stayed in it. Then we get to the last game of the season. And who shows up in the locker room like 15 minutes before I'm going out to stretch? This guy. And
Yep.
tell them what happened on that day then. This is what changed your career.
Well, I went out there and I pitched. I signed like the day of the playoffs, right? If I remember correctly.
The day before.
Yep. The night before. And I go out there and I pitch, and then, it was for one game. But, the most memorable thing about that 19 season, and I don't know if you were there for this, but do you remember the brawl we got into? Do you remember this?
With Syracuse.
With Syracuse. that dude comes in, and Logan Morrison hits a homer and walks all the way to first base. And then the next day, they bring him in again, and they have a guy warming up in the stands because they know he's going to throw at him. And do you remember all this?
Archimedes Camareno.
That's right. And then I think the most memorable part is Tim Tebow trying to break up the brawl. Do you remember this part? And he's sitting there like, guys, stop. And our manager comes in from the top step. He's like, Tim, go sit down. You just get out of here, dude. And I remember that being like one of the most memorable things about 19. I'll always remember that brawl.
The Bushes fights, yes. It's always good. Tim Tebow and Brad Miller going head to head.
So good.
That is not your average Bushes fight where Tim Tebow just decides to join the party. So that's actually a pretty good matchup for Kratz. I like that. Hey, Danny, I'm going to take you in a different direction. So Trevor May is a part of this show. I heard him the other day on one of his YouTubes or something talking about how you were a big inherited runners guy. And he was basically kind of breaking down if it's fair for inherited runners to count, against the dude's ERA, and just wanted to get your thoughts on the topic, if you talked to him about it, and how you approach that, because I think he was mentioning that at least one of the seasons you were lights out in that department. Stumped him.
You got him.
I got him. Uh-oh. I knew it. It took like 6 questions, but we got him. Okay. Danny's got that Sarasota Wi-Fi right now.
It happens.
Get that rehab Wi-Fi.
Rehab Wi-Fi. They're rehabbing the Wi-Fi too.
Exactly. But anyway, they were saying, Trevor was talking about how, some dudes go in and they're like, I have a job to do and I have a process. It's going to be the same process every time. If runners score, they score. And then he was talking about how other pitchers approach things a little bit differently. Kratz, are shaking your head. I'm sure you experienced this, you guys, especially the 2 catchers on here, where some pitchers were like, nah, I got my teammates back. And it's not like, necessarily, obviously no one wants a run to score, but you know what I'm saying?
I could not agree more. And AJ might not have seen this as much in the big leagues. In AAA, I once or twice a year, you'd get into somebody. I'd get into somebody pretty hard for hey, like, I get it. That's not your run out there, but I need your best slider right out of the gate. Like, to me, it's not a big league thing. It's more of like a AAA thing. And it may not be that it's a effort level. It's maybe just a focus level. Like, all of a sudden you're getting the better sliders when your runs are in scoring positions. So to me, guys that can not cash in other dudes' runs, that's huge. That's the team aspect of a bullpen.
I agree. Listen, I used to see dudes all the time come in and say, man, I can't believe, and they go up to other guys and apologize. Say, sorry, bro, I didn't give up mine, but I gave up yours and I feel terrible. And that's what you want to see. You want guys that care, because you'll see guys with low ERAs and you're like, man, how do you have such a low ERA? And they come in with the bases loaded, they give up 3, load the bases with their runs and get out of it. And you're like, man, where was that when it was the other guy's run? So, yeah, this is a big thing. That's one of the most important stats for me of a bullpen guy is inherited runners scored.
Do you think that ERA should be switched to maybe have it be less of an onus on the inherited runner aspect? Like if you happen to be on a team, of course, where your bullpen sucks, or, you're not even high leverage guys. It's often your low leverage guys sometimes that'll come in, right? Like if you're a pitcher and
then
you're winning or losing 7-2 and you've got 2 dudes on and you're like, all right, he's at 92 pitches, we're yanking him. And then 2 more come in. That happens a lot.
Yeah, then whose runs would they be? So that's the tough part of the whole thing. I mean,
maybe you can weight it differently.
Yeah, I guess, and it's just another analytical thing or another sonnet we could put up there. I don't know. I think it's just too much numbers, but I think we keep it the way it is. But yes, I do understand some pitchers. Most of them are like, hey man, that's on me. Like AJ said, I think about when I made an error, like I would be like, dude, I got your back, man. That's on me again. Like you feel terrible. Some guys like, hey, don't worry about it. Some guys don't say a word. You're like, okay, well, at least I'll let you know. I screwed up. What are you going to do? We're human.
And then you have Mackenzie Gore and Nick Senzel fighting about it, which
very nice.
Is a thing. But anyway, all right, we'll see if we can get Danny back in the next 2 minutes. Otherwise, we will move on. But just thought it was an interesting topic, and his name had just come up kind of randomly the other day The other thing with Baltimore right now is, like Danny mentioned, they just went through just a bad run where they lost 3-4 guys really quickly. And all of a sudden you're looking at a team being like, yeah, they could probably add, a pitcher or two. And you're like, no, they definitely need to add
Do you see
a
them?
pitcher or two.
Question for you guys. Do you see them winning the AL East with the team they got right now?
They got to add for me. They got to add somebody. They got to add a pitcher, bullpen guy, starter, or both for me. For me right now with where they stand, because they have so many guys that aren't coming back. It's not like Danny's going to come back, but like Wells isn't coming back. Means isn't coming back. Bradish isn't coming back. Like, where's Kramer? He's supposed to be back soon, but right now it's Grayson, Burns, and Povich has been pretty good for him. But Todd, they still beat the Yankees.
That's the biggest one, and that's been the Yankees' problem. I think this year they're 10 and 12 against AL East opponents, and I think that's the people like, don't worry about it. The record speaks for itself. But those are the wins that's like, you want to take care of the East. You're gaining a game on an AL East opponent, especially against the Orioles, where they're 2-6, I think now. So, or 2-7. No, I'm off.
What do you mean?
No, you're right.
What their record against the Orioles.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's where it's like you want to really come to play. But they do. They put pressure on teams. Gunnar Henderson, O'Hearn. I mean, not many people are talking about O'Hearn. This guy can play, man, especially against the Yankees. This guy is an absolute stud. So, we'll see.
It was a great find from Baltimore to KC. Real quick, then we'll hit a quick break. From Tyler, Super Chat, thoughts about maybe making inherited or ghost runners count for half a run.
No.
I don't know. You either do it or you don't. Yeah.
It's too much. No, not for me.
Too much.
Yeah. I mean, just be better be better about giving them up. Just don't give them up. Try not to give them up. That's the biggest thing. Your job is to not give up runs, whether yours or someone else's. Like Kratz and I said, you'd be amazed how many guys give up other guys' runs and don't give up theirs. How much their stuff goes from here to here when it's their runs. Their guy on third, less than 2 outs. Oh, there comes their nasty slider. But if it's the other guy's run, they're like, oh, okay, I got a sac fly. No big deal.
Right. Use your B or your C slider instead of your A slider. It's messed up. Anyway, just a quick correction. 2-5 against the O's.
Yep.
For the Yankees.
I was off on both.
There you go. Close. All right, we'll be right back on FT. Hunter Gaddis from the Guardians is going to join us a little bit later in the show, and Robert Murray for a big trade deadline preview. All right, we're back. So let's do our AJ Pierzynski caption contest right now. AJ decided on the fly to throw a little picture out there for the world to view. We're going to let's do like 3 candidates, and then we'll pick a winner, and AJ will send you a signed what?
Bat. I said
baseball?
Autograph bat.
Bat? Oh, better than a baseball. I'll take that.
Yeah,
let's go.
Autograph bat. Kratz can't win, let's run it. He tried.
Kratz did try. Yeah, we might show his as well. So here's one from Billy. Here's the last guy I remember really engaging fans behind the plate at Wrigley. This is from 2012. And he was and still is the enemy. Oh. That was what caused the caption contest to begin from AJ. And now let's show our candidates. Number 1 from X's Man. In 2024, the Campfire Milkshake will be the lone White Sox representative for the All-Star game. I thought that was well played. This is a good one. This is a good start. Got a little chuckle.
Yeah, I got a chuckle because croquet is probably going to go to the All-Star game too.
Yeah, well, there's nothing like a good milkshake with your croquets. Next up, Rod. My parents always told me never to trust anyone that has 6 consecutive consonants in their last name. Oh, shots at Team Poland at WBC.
I kind of got to disagree with this one because a Y kind of goes both ways, doesn't it? It can be a consonant or a vowel.
You're right. So they messed up. They're disqualified. Sorry, Thomas. You don't win.
I mean, even though I like Rod Boski, I'm assuming he's Polish at some point.
Yeah.
Pierogies.
Poland on Poland crime. Last one that made it as a finalist. The bleached hair made you look less shady, more in sync.
Oh,
it's creative.
Listen, I'm an Eminem guy. I mean, I had the blonde hair and in sync. I went to high school with Joey Fatone in sync, and no Chris Patrick very well. He got his ass kicked by Slim Shady. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough.
All right, so let's show Kratz and Pap while we pick a winner. I'm voting for the milkshake dude. There's Kratz. One day the bases will be this big.
Oh, I love that.
That was good.
Love that.
All right, milkshake dude wins. We good with that? Kratz can't win, and neither can Pap.
Oof.
Said Angel behind the dish, giving you this much off the plate. Start setting up further out. We're going to keep hitting bombs against you. Very like in depth from Pap.
I mean, Angel just keeps taking pot shots, and he's done retired.
I know.
Oh,
can't even retaliate.
Todd's going to have to. I like the third one, the in sync and shady. So Todd's going to have to make the choice.
I agree. I'm going with the in sync.
All right, Danny's back. Danny, sorry, man. I mean, all I asked was about inherited runners. I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. I didn't feel like it was that much heat. But you look a lot more crisp with the quality of the picture now. So, did you catch the question?
Yeah, inherited runners are always something that it's really important to me, and it's really important it should be important to every reliever. It's a stat that I think is so underrated. For me, it's like when I come in with guys on base, it doesn't really change. The only thing it really changes is if I have a base open, I'm not really all right, I'm not scared to walk this guy, so I'm going to throw my nastiest stuff, and I'm not going to throw any get me over pitches. But yeah, I mean, it should matter. I enjoy it. It's fun. You just do it one pitch at a time. And I had one specific game this year where, I came in bases loaded, no outs, and kind of in my mind, I was like, this is an impossible situation. So, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and just make a pitch. And the first guy popped it up, and I'm like, all right, I think I got a chance to get out of this. You get the first one out, and you're like, okay, we go from here.
Dudes, talk about it in the bullpen. You guys are all together the whole game, just critiquing all the position players out there. This guy stinks. Gunner can't hit 400. Whatever you guys are saying out there. Do you talk about that in the bullpen? Hey, bro, you cashed in 3 of my runs in the last 5 days. Or is it something that's never talked about but whispered about behind each other's backs?
It's whispered about. It's not something where you're going to be because nobody's trying to cash in any runs. Nobody's like, I'm going to let his run score, and then I'm going to get these guys out. Nobody's like that.
Lie. That's a lie, dude. You've got to tell me that you've never heard of. You don't notice a difference in some guys. I'm not saying all of them, but some guys' stuff ticks up when that's their runner on third and 1 out. They get that little bit extra stuff on their slider versus, I gave up a sac fly. It's Danny's run. It's okay. Doesn't go my ERA. It's still staying low.
I'm going to tell you this story about Blake Trinan, and I love Blake. We're good friends. And I came in, I walked the bases loaded, and they took me out. And so that was a fun one. And he comes in, he punches 2 guys out, and then he gets 0-2 on the third guy. I'm like, he's got this. And he was working on a cutter for 3 months, and he throws a cutter. The guy gets a base hit. And I remember talking to him after the game, dude, what was that? My runners were on base. He's like, oh, man, I thought, it'd be a good time to bust it out. And I'm like, I don't think there is a worse time to bust out a new pitch when you have bases loaded and somebody else's runs on the plate. But, Blake is, after that, I think he probably inherited about 15 of my runners that year. So I got nothing else to say to him, but I thought that was pretty funny.
That's good. It's good. Perfect time to work on it. When DC's runs are out there, perfect time. It wasn't his runs. See, so you proved our point. But you're talking about coming out. You're talking about your slider, your curveball, your sweeper. Talking about ripping some stuff. Did you see Edwin Diaz come out with a little goop on his hand last night in the Sunday game? How do you guys feel? How do you guys talk about that in the bullpen, in the sense of how Major League Baseball has not really helped you guys at all? How they've just said, hey, you can't do this, and you're like, well, what is this? Well, we'll decide when you come in the game. Is there fear that whatever you guys do, it's too much rosin? Oh, is this enough? You know what I mean? Do you feel like it's too much gray for you guys?
100%. I've had a few guys, especially young guys, they come up and they hit the rosin bag on a hot day when it's sweaty out, and all of a sudden their hands are a little black, and they're like, I'm going to get busted. It penalizes your team on such a high level with losing a roster spot. And so they're terrified of anything like that. And there's too much gray, I don't know anybody I guess there's nobody on our team that's using anything. So like it's like they're just like scared to get busted for just having the stuff that's out there. And I think that's what Edwin said, is it was just rosin. I think that's what he said. And it's just hard when there's, it's a substance that's given to you, but you can't use too much of it. It's just such a gray area.
Danny, are you surprised that there aren't more guys getting caught just because it's a gray area? And every time someone does get caught with this, they seem to have a strong defense against it, even though there's not really a legit appeal process, because it's kind of a one-sided appeal process. So you just take the 10-game suspension. Like for as much as we talk about it and as much of a gray line as it is, and it sounds like there's even like a little bit of paranoia because you just don't want to get caught. There haven't been that many pitchers that have been, caught with this. Maybe I want to say maybe 3 this year and probably about 3 last year.
Yeah. It's definitely causing a paranoia. I find it, I was a guy, and Kratz could probably tell you this, before the sticky checks, like I used substances, and, I think I'd say about 80% of the league did. And, trying to figure out how to throw without it. And then if you get caught and you get busted for something that you're not using anymore, it's really frustrating. We know that there's always a few crews that we know are more stringent than others. But realistically, like, I don't know of anybody really using anything. So I guess on our team. So in my opinion, like, yeah, I wish they had like some sort of criteria they could do, but I just don't know how they could enforce that.
Agreed. All right, Danny, I want to go a little more positive. I have a couple off the field questions I want to ask you about. You went to Chaparral High School in Scottsdale.
Yep.
Who's the most famous baseball alumni from Chaparral High School?
I believe that'd be your former teammate,
Okay.
Paul Konerko.
If you wouldn't have said that, oh man, he would have cried. He would have called me crying. I can't believe he didn't recognize me.
Yeah, Paul Konerko, obviously legend, but I actually think he has a more legendary Little League story, because we played in the same Little League, and he hit a ball apparently that would have gone 330, 350 feet in Little League. And then he gets to Chaparral. Obviously, he had an unbelievable career, and I heard he was a great guy too.
He was. Did you play for the same coach?
I did. The same coach was there for 40 years. Actually, my mom went to this Chaparral, and she would play him in badminton all the time. And she's the reason why he tore his Achilles. So he never let me live that down. It was my mom's fault. So
you should have told him to move his feet. Didn't he yell at the infielders? There's no such thing as a bad hop. Move your feet.
Move your feet.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we're on the family, I got to hear about your grandfather. And in the off season, apparently they're making a movie about your grandfather and his World War II exploits. Are you going to play him in the movie?
Oh man, I don't know how good that would go. I'll definitely go see the movie. But yeah, awesome story. We didn't know about any of this until after he passed away. He was essentially on a really famous flight where he flew on a mission that was over Europe, and their plane was essentially like extremely damaged, heavily damaged, and a German soldier was sent up there to go shoot him down. And he saw how bad the ship, how the condition of the plane was in. And he, instead of shooting him down, he redirected him back over, Allied territory. And so essentially, I shouldn't be here right now. And yeah, just the bravery he showed. I mean, he was the top turret gunner, and there was one point where his gun jammed, and he went down into the to go fix it, and he goes back up, and the whole turret's gone. So that was within 20 seconds. So I mean, it's a wild story. What a hero he was, and just amazing.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible, man. That's good stuff. I want to go see that movie too. So let us know when that comes out for sure. Talking about baseball, is there a guy right now that you're like every time? No, I'm not going to say you're going to be like scared of him, but there's a guy that comes up like, damn, this guy gets me all the time. Is there a batter right now that you're like, man, I got to find a way to get this guy out?
I'm not going to admit that.
Come on, man.
But I'll tell you this. There is one guy in my career that is 5 for 5 off me with 4 homers and a double. And it's a guy who never made it past Double-A. So if I ever see that guy walk in the box, I might just walk off him.
Oh, that's
Who is it?
incredible.
Well, yeah, what's his
don't-
name? I mean, we got to hear this name. He's not going
Who is
to.
this man?
Tyler Marlette.
We're gonna have to
Where'd he
call
get all the-
Tyler
Look
out.
that up. Exactly. That's the thing. Is like he absolutely dominated me, and yeah, I'm surprised I'm still playing baseball. He's not, but he loved hitting off me.
What organization was he with?
He was with the Mariners back in High A in 2015, 14.
Yankees might be calling him if you guys play in the playoffs. He might be the pinch hitter off the bench.
Pinch hitter off the bench.
Danny comes in. Here comes
Yeah.
Mollett.
4 wide.
If he walked up there, I would be rattled. There's no doubt in my mind.
This dude's getting playoff time. He's coming. All right. So one more then from me on the Yanks, Danny. I mean, does the rivalry feel real with them? Because, these are the two teams at the top of the division right now. Like, would you say overall the Orioles do not like the New York Yankees this year?
I mean, I think that's a given. They're a good team, and they have so much talent. But man, that's what the impressive thing about our team is. We are so young, but like these guys are fearless. I just think they don't know any better. They've won their whole career. Like they all came up together, and they are all like, and so we walked into Yankee Stadium last year, and I remember this was like the first time where I was like, this team is different. As we walked into Yankee Stadium, and we beat them the last game like 15-5, and I remember being like, wow, this Orioles team is real, and it's going to be so good for so long. But yeah, there's definitely some bad blood. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw the hit-by-pitches this weekend. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and we play them in late September, and that's kind of like, man, I would love to be back for that one.
All right, well, let's go. All right, speaking of that, your rehab, you're in Sarasota. What do you do all day? Because you go to the field probably early in the morning, right? And they do a little on your elbow, a little ultrasound, a little chin, a little whatever it is. And then you got, 20 hours left in your day? 22 hours left? What do you do all day?
You know what? I was talking to some of the young guys here that are rehabbing, and I was like, I don't know how you guys stay sane. You go to rehab. So I went to rehab this morning around 8:30, and I was done by 11. And now I come back, and my family's not here. So, I'm just hanging out, watching the games. Like, I need to take up fishing or something, but I can't even do that right now because they're like, we don't want you to be outside and sweating all the time for your arm. And so I don't even know. The thing about the rehab that I'm, it's a day-by-day process, and you're trying to feel like you can still add value to the team. And so I've been just really trying to have good conversations with the young guys there. There's a lot of young guys who are in rookie ball or A ball, and so you just try to help them along and answer questions that they have, and that just be there for the guys while you're doing what you can do to get back.
Okay, real quick then. Don't be afraid to buy some spread. I mean, go shopping for the guys. Something like you need that down there. They need you to do that. You're a big leaguer getting big league pay.
Well, I'll tell you this. I heard today that there's like 12 guys using the same shower shoes down here. So I think I might need to go make a purchase for some shower shoes. What do you think about that?
Good idea.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one guy who they took the shower shoes from put Red Hot in it today because he's like, I want them to stop using my shower shoes. So he Red Hotted them.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
I think I might go make a purchase.
New Balance for sure.
New Balance, absolutely.
Custom shower shoes for everyone down there, Orioles branded or whatever. And hey, if you're bored, just let us know. You can swing by anytime. We're here every day. But keep doing your thing, man. Good luck on the rehab. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Danny Coulombe
Awesome.
on with us, Baltimore Orioles reliever. Orioles thriving this year, and we hope to see him back in around September. We'll be right back on Valley Sports.
How are the cramps going? You got hand cramps? Leg cramps?
Yeah,
Like, what is that? What does a hand
yeah.
cramp look like? Are you like, I can't
Yeah,
get it
if
out?
you go back and look, I get like all clawed up and stuff. It's weird. I have to just there's a normal protocol I do. I've had it happen before as well. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like a family thing. My brother's kind of the same way. Like when he would do track and get towards the end of his decathlon, like something about our extremities get a little crampy. But I hadn't had it all year, and I stopped doing I have like my normal protocol, like maybe do an IV before, and then like pickle juice is the answer. It's the greatest thing ever. It's better than like drip drops and all the hydration stuff. So I just thought I was past it, and I hadn't really been doing my normal thing, and now I gotta get back on it. But it's not like a concern or anything. It's just annoying though when you get to play like once every 6 days, and then I have to come out of the game at like the last inning. It's just not a. I was pretty pissed, but now going forward, I'll know how to figure it out.
How long did you pitch with it? Because Cliff Lee, when we played together with the Phillies, he used to get the same thing. And the one time he got taken out, it was a 7th inning. He still had like 20 more pitches he could have gone. He wanted to get a CG, and he gets taken out, and they end up, giving up a run, and he was pissed. He's like, I'm never coming out again. So the next time he was pitching, it was July, and I go out there, and his hand is like, it's like Strong Hand from the movie. And he's like, don't say a word. And he's like peeling it back in his glove. And he's like, all right, I'm fine now. Cause we had mound visits. So I used 2 or 3 mound visits, and he pitched the rest of the inning. He got 2 outs. So how long did you pitch with it?
So there's been games where I've just kind of like an inning and a half, 2 innings. And sometimes it's weird. It only really starts when you try to get on it. So if it's like 1-2 or 0-2, it'll happen. Some games it'll just happen every single pitch. But as my blood gets going, or like I get the inning going, I can kind of get through it, but then it'll just happen randomly. So I felt it towards the end of the 6th. I probably threw to like I think I had like an out. So maybe 2 outs of the 6th inning. And then I went inside, slammed some electrolytes, stretched, did a bunch of stuff, and it just didn't really seem to work. And then as I was warming up that inning, it was worse than it was prior. And I think Will too knew. He was looking at me like, these warm-ups are a little strange. Like, you can't really, there's no push-off, so it's more of like a fall, and then I'm just kind of, I don't know. It's not as like effortful. And then I thought it would loosen up as the inning went on, and it didn't. And then I think it was pretty obvious. I was like out there trying to stretch it out in the middle of the inning, and I was already at 95 pitches. It sucks that I gave up the run, but it is what it is. I'll learn from it and make sure I drink my pickle juice.
Oh, we sizzling, and we got a few. Hot corner time. Let's sizzle. This one sucks for Blue Jays fans. Blue Jays are going through it. What is the skid down to? I think 6 in a row now for them, or 5? 6?
6.
Yeah, 6 and 8 of 10. And then they just called up one of their top hitting prospects, who I've been tracking for a while, Elvis Martinez, who's got some pop. And, still was figuring out where he's going to play. Long term, he's got a good arm, but probably more of a second or third baseman. Called up Friday. And he is basically done for the rest of the year. Popped for PEDs, 80 games. That would put him on track to return at the end of the season. Did he test positive? Yes. Should it have been a positive? Yes. Why am I saying that? Because he spoke. I will give him credit. He spoke right away. I mean, we do have some guys that disappear for months and then come back and say, I don't know what happened. So I'll read the statement real quick because I think it's important. He said, for the past 2 years, I've been trying to start a family with my girlfriend. During the off season, we visited a fertility clinic in the Dominican Republic, and after getting lab work done, we were prescribed a treatment which included a medication called Rejune 50. Unfortunately, that contains a banned substance called clomiphene. We wanted to keep it private, even within the family, and trusted the doctor, who assured us this treatment did not include PEDs. Therefore, I made the mistake of not disclosing this to my team or the MLBPA. With that said, I took full responsibility for my actions and accepted my suspension. And then he sent out the apology and that he's going to learn from the experience and come back to the field in September. Whew. All right, so we did get an explanation. AJ, I tried to do homework best as I could, and it's not something that's given out, or I think you're allowed to give out to men in the U.S., but it does look like it's something that's given out internationally at times to try and help on the fertility front. But all cool, appreciate the honesty and transparency, but can't you disclose this stuff in a very private way to make sure that it isn't a public thing and they can tell you, nah, you can't do that?
Can't you go to a doctor in Toronto or Dunedin or Buffalo and talk to that doctor? This is and again, I don't mean this to be disrespectful to anybody, family situation, but how many times now have we seen where guys are doing this or doing that and they get at a doctor not in America, and then they end up getting popped? It's happened a bunch of times now. So, at some point we would think, I know it's easy to go to a doctor wherever they live, but man, at some point you would think he'd pick up the phone and call the team and say, hey, can you guys recommend a doctor to me that will not get me popped 80 games and miss half the year?
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I mean, this is a real legitimate life. Like players, while they don't want to test positive, go through real legitimate life choices and issues. Like to me, there are other choices, and they chose to do something in another country that's not illegal, but is legal where it was there. Not saying that he was trying to do anything nefarious. It's just one of those things that you have to take the extra effort, just like we talked to Danny just about 10 minutes ago about sticky stuff. You have to take the extra effort because you're always paranoid about, is this contaminated? Is this something? Just check with your team doctor. Check with your team trainers. They will get back to you in a second and be like, no, don't take it. Or here's something else that you can take.
Yeah, and I was doing a deep dive, was in the wormhole on this drug, because initially you look it up and you're like, it's really saying it's for females, right? And yes, it has been a masking agent, or some of these types of drugs have been in the past. And eventually, if you go deep enough, you see internationally it's been used elsewhere. But again, the point is, you're a professional. It's got to be handled a certain way. And I know you're new to the major leagues, but this is how it works. This is the way that we keep
every team. Hold on, let me say this. Every team, though, in spring training and all the time, they have meetings and say, listen, guys, your strength guy, your whoever you're talking to, your trainers will say, listen, if there is any question you have about taking anything, you call me, you call the trainer, you call the GM, call the owner. We'll get back to you in 5 seconds and give you whether it's illegal to take or not. And if you do that, then you're taking a risk on your own. And listen, I feel sorry for the kid if this is what happened, but at the same time, I don't feel sorry for him not checking first.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks for Toronto because Bo Bichette goes down. He gets called up. They'll have IKF at short. This was someone who could have played some second and third for them. I know Spencer Horwitz is kind of newish to the party with this team. They're really desperately looking for more offense too and more slug. And Toronto's season is kind of falling apart right now. This could be a team that we actually talk about a lot with our friend Robert Murray from Fansided. Let's get into it. Robert, great to have you on, man. Let's first transition over to another bit of news from the weekend. We see that Jesus Luzardo goes down with an injury, and it doesn't look like he's going to come back in time or really be a legit enough, player around the trade deadline. So wanted to get your thoughts on seeing that news for the Marlins. They just continue to take hits to their rotation. This could have been one of the prizes of the deadline, no?
Oh, absolutely. And first, before I jump into that, good to be back with you guys. I know it's been a little bit, but good to be back. But as far as Jesus Luzardo goes, I was never under the impression that he was a definite lock to be traded. I mean, he's controllable. I mean, he's 26, which obviously makes him extremely valuable. But I never got the impression that it was a lock, especially considering his first injury. And now that he's on the injured list for a second time, may not pitch before the deadline again. And that makes it too much of a risk for, I think, other teams. And if the Marlins were to entertain offers, they would probably end up getting lowballed, which would not be entertaining to them, which is going to end up most likely forcing the Marlins to keep or to hold on to him, I should say. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if they end up holding on to him for the offseason or even at the trade deadline next year, they're still going to have 1.5 to 2 years of control, which makes him extremely valuable. He's still arbitration eligible, which makes him affordable to a lot of different teams. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for the Marlins to hold on to him at the deadline here. But what it does do is it throws a huge wrench into the trade deadline because he was supposed to be one of the top candidates to potentially be moved. And now you eliminate him in what was already going to be a seller's market. It makes things a lot more tricky. And it also could end up opening the door for a team like the White Sox or even another team that may not necessarily be sellers at this point, could be on the fence to potentially move their starting pitchers and end up getting good value in return for them. But for now, it looks like Luzardo is going to be staying put. And what that means for the deadline remains to be seen with so much unknown at this point.
I just want to add this. I know Todd's got a question, but I also saw the update. He's on the 60-day IL. They placed him after initially making the announcement for the lumbar stress reaction in the lower back. So he definitely will not be available. I know sometimes people are like, but maybe no, he's not getting traded this go around.
Interesting. Very interesting because he's an absolute stud. It was the second time he's kind of been injured, I think.
Yeah, the second IL stint for him this year. Yep.
Before I ask my question, the setup you got behind you, I mean, what is that, dude? Looks like you got 5 TVs on there. What is going on back there?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. This is the little man cave that I got going. So the 2 bottom ones are 70-inch TVs, and then the ones up top are 55 inches. I got MLB TV, Sunday Ticket, you name it. This is basically like the ultimate sports bar in
So you're
my
single.
living room.
You're single. You're clearly single.
Yeah, this is definitely not a woman's setup. That's putting it lightly. So
there's no wife that's going to allow you to take a room, especially it looks like you're in one of your main rooms, and put 5 TVs in it. Now, I have one with 3, but it's like hidden to the side. But there's no wife that's going to say, yeah, go ahead, Robert. You put 5 TVs in our main living family room.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. And I was in a relationship when I ended up putting it together, and I got scolded big time. So maybe that's why I'm single now. Who knows? But anyway,
you live your life, bro. Don't let anybody tell you what you can do in your own home.
Freedom of TVs.
You're darn right. You're darn right.
You'll find a girl that loves sports,
and
you'll find a girl. She's going to walk in first and be like, "Oh my God, let's get married." I just haven't.
Yeah. As soon as she says that, I'm getting down on one knee. That's 100%
exactly.
what's happening.
Exactly. So
there we go.
I want to talk about a little bullpen help. I know a couple teams that need it. Yankees right now are struggling a little bit, but the Royals as well. They're looking for some bullpen help. Is there some guys out there, some other teams that are looking for it as well that need it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great call by you. And we saw Ken Rosenthal report before the season that Devin Williams was a player of interest for the Royals. And I mean, that was not necessarily the most likely thing, especially once the Brewers signed him to a multi-year deal to avoid arbitration. But he was one of the players that was on their radar, and that's going to end up being one of their top priorities for the deadline here. And one player that was put on my radar as a potential fit for the Royals was Jason Adam of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a veteran guy. He was kind of an under-the-radar addition by the Rays a couple of years ago, and it was on a major league deal when most teams were open to signing him to a minor league deal. But the Rays saw something in him that they thought they could maximize. And in 2.5 to 3 years in Tampa Bay, he's been one of the most dependable relievers in baseball. And with the Rays struggling now, he could end up being a really attractive trade piece. And he's got definite ties to the Royals. He was actually drafted by the Royals, now their general manager, J.J. Piccolo, when he was a scouting director in Kansas City. So there's ties there. The need is there for Kansas City as well. So I think that's definitely a player who makes plenty of sense for them. Tanner Scott's another one. There's plenty of teams, though, that are going to be looking for bullpen help. I feel like that's a story that's basically said every trade deadline, that these contending teams are looking for bullpen help, and that's going to be the case again this year with the Royals, with the Phillies, with just an abundance of teams. And I think Adam is going to draw pretty widespread interest from what I've gathered so far.
Who has the most value, though? Because we're talking about closers and not just bullpen guys, because there's guys that have been doing well in the bullpen. Who has the most value? I've been saying Ryan Helsley, and then the Cardinals have just been the hottest team since May, 12th or 24th. And then just yesterday I talked to somebody who was talking about Finnegan from the Nationals. Kyle Finnegan, no.
Oh, yeah, it's Kyle Finnegan.
Kyle Finnegan, yeah. Who do you think has the most value as an actual closer? Because you can't just take the best bullpen piece in baseball and be like, oh, well, he's going to close for the Phillies, for the Orioles, teams that may need closers.
For sure. Kratzy, good to see you again. Go Birds. But there's there we go. I had to. But anyways, sorry, I heard the word God in there. Hopefully you're not a Cowboys fan. But anyways,
No.
Thank goodness. But anyways, I think the guy that has the most value who could potentially be moved is obviously Mason Miller. But I think that's kind of unlikely at this point, just considering the asking price is going to be so high there. And there's just, I mean, I don't know how many teams can necessarily fit that asking price for Miller. I think the Orioles make sense. But other than that, I mean, maybe the Phillies, but I just think that's probably unlikely. I think Helsley was a great shout by you. And if you would have asked me a month ago if he would have been moved, I would have said yes. But then the Cardinals got themselves back into contention, and that may be pretty unlikely at this point. I think a guy that has just a lot of value, who I think is almost a lock to be traded unless there is an injury that happens, is Tanner Scott. He is someone who teams have checked in on already. He's drawing plenty of interest. I think with considering his results and just the overall market where it's structured right now, I think he's the strongest bet to be moved at this point. And I would be really surprised if he isn't moved, just because I think the interest and the desire for a player of that caliber is going to end up being so strong that the Marlins really can't ignore it.
Okay, I have to ask about Todd's favorite team, his ex-team, Todd's team, the White Sox. What are they going to do? This has got to be a huge trade deadline for Chris Getz. You said a seller's market. I mean, they have Fetty, who could possibly move as a starter under control for another year. You have Crochet. You have Kopech. You have some back-end arms that are okay. Even like a Chris Flexen, a guy like that could be a guy possibly moved. What are they going to do, and how much can they make, headway on this rebuild, this trade deadline?
100%. I think the White Sox are the team that controls the market at this point. They have the most coveted piece in Luis Robert, who is going to draw a lot of interest. The asking price is going to be very high, so we'll see if there's any team that fits that or is willing to meet that need or meet that asking price, I should say. You look, there's two teams that make a ton of sense for Robert. It's the Phillies and it's the Mariners, and then there's a bunch of other teams that also really fit that as well. But if you look at their overall, just their roster, they're one of the worst teams in baseball, but yet they have some really intriguing trade pieces. They have Garrett Crochet, who is going to end up being one of the most coveted starting pitchers in the market. You have Eric Fetty, who's been awesome this year. Michael Kopech he's been very good, and he can end up being somebody who is able to draw or get a decent return. There's just so many different things that the White Sox can do here that it just makes them the most fascinating team. Of the starting pitchers, I expect at least one of them to go. Mike Clevenger is another one who, once he returns, can end up being a late addition to the trade market. Tommy Pham as well. There's just so many different things that they can do where they're not close to being a contending team, but their minor league system has a lot of good pieces in it. And the Lucas Giolito and the Ronaldo Lopez trades last year were a good start for them. The Dylan Cease one was also a really strong trade and getting some intriguing rotation pieces. They are in position to further bolster that minor league system, but we've seen them do this before and it didn't pan out. So I'm kind of in wait and see mode, but the vision is there. It's going to take a while for the results to be seen on the major league roster.
All right, one more, Robert. I think you wrote about the Angels a bit, so can you enlighten us on where you think they can be a factor? They should be clear-cut sellers this time around. Taylor Ward comes to mind. Carlos Tevez, I think you put in there. And then we're getting questions about Tyler Anderson, who I know has 1 year left. But as we talk about the lack of starting pitching options, do you think he could be a big factor at the deadline?
I absolutely think the Angels are going to end up being a team that's they could make some noise at the deadline here. And everything that I've heard is that Taylor Ward and Carlos Estevez are available on the trade market. There's been teams that have checked in on both players, and Ward is controllable, and he makes so much sense for teams that are in need of outfield help. And I think the team that could end up being like a sneaky good fit for him would be the Pirates, who I think should buy. I hope they buy because they're one of baseball's most exciting teams right now, and I can't remember the last time I ever said that, but that is the reality with the Pirates. But Joe Adell is another one who is going to end up drawing interest. Tyler Anderson is another one who the last 12 months for him have just been totally fascinating because he was put on waivers last year, and the Angels allowed any team in baseball to claim him for nothing in return, but nobody claimed him, and he was put back on the roster, and he was kind of an afterthought. We thought maybe he could end up being moved or designated for assignment in the offseason, but the Angels held on to him, and he's been absolutely awesome for them this year and is going to end up being one of the better left-handed arms available on the market. And he's signed for next year for $13 million, which is very doable for any team that needs a veteran starting pitcher. I think it makes a lot of sense for like a team like the Brewers. There's just a lot of teams that could end up making sense for Anderson, who I think should be moved. The Angels will be busy with Estevez, with Matt Moore, also being strong candidates as well. They're a much lesser version of what the White Sox have to offer at the deadline, but I expect the Angels to be pretty active, and hopefully Artie Moreno lets Perry Manassian do what he was hired to do, because that team needs a lot of help and a lot of it.
I agree. Yeah, it's time for them to reload the farm system. Luis Rengifo to either re-sign him to an extension or he's only got 1 year left. Trade him. This value is high right now. Robert, great to have you on as always. Check out Robert on Twitter. He'll be all over the trade deadline. Also check out his work in Fansided, but at by Robert Murray for more on what Robert does in his show as well. Appreciate you, Robert.
Hey, thank you guys. Always a blast. Hopefully back on here in a little bit.
Yes. Let's make it a regular thing. Robert Murray with us on FT Live. We'll be right back. Okay, Kratz, this is all you today because I hear that AG1 is with you on the road. Is this true?
I mean, let's just be honest. Okay, I got the ripped one here. Okay, I just opened it, so it was next to me. These packs are it. The way I used to get it, where you get it in a big container and then you throw it in your own Ziploc bag. That bag rips and is all over the desk, or unfortunately all over your suitcase. That sucks, but it is perfect for the road. And I got the other pack. I got the full bulk pack sitting in my fridge at home.
Hey, I don't want you thinking you're the only one.
You're using it too, AJ?
You ain't the only one. Look at me go. Look at me. I got it
wow,
all.
Look at you. Organized in a plastic bag?
That's in a Ziploc bag.
Listen, when you're on the road for as much as I am, you got to count them, and then you put them in a Ziploc bag, because otherwise there'll be AG1 packets all over my suitcase. So this is one way to keep them nice and handy. Let me see how many more days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 6 more days on the road.
Perfect. And that is actually true. I'll be with you on Monday. Wow. There you go. That was very organized. I'm proud of you guys. So anyway, AG1's a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support. It's backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you are putting in your body. We actually just talked about that, didn't we? You got to know what you're putting in your body. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. And unlike other products, which only test their ingredients in isolation, AG1 tests their formula as a whole. It's NSF certified, the whole deal, right? So athletes can have it. Pro athletes can have it. They can trust it. So if FT has to recommend one product to support whole body health, AG1 is the rec. And that's why we're excited to have them as a continuing partner here on FT. So start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 to get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and get 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/foul. Go check it out, FT fam. I also just want to spend the next 20 seconds or so saying, if you're on YouTube right now, you're watching us, we'll be with you during these breaks while we're on national television on Bally Sports TV, on the Bally Sports app. And so we'll still be live with you. So it's cool. We'll talk. We'll mix in some of our partners and sponsors. Also, we're going to make it a mission to get more of your questions into the show. I know we take that very seriously as it is, but we'll keep an eye on the chat more than ever. So during these little 2-3 minute siestas, we can answer more of your questions. All right, we're coming back with our locks. Let's do this. Leo is his name, by the way. I named him Leo. The Lion is coming through for our BetMGM Locks today.
I love that.
I got special permission from our friends at BetMGM to also say that today's locks are brought to you by Todd Frazier, who's had a nice little run. Although
I know I'm
finally hit his snag.
I think I had 8 in a row.
Weird.
It's something crazy.
Damn, it was Baltimore. But first off, the free game of the day streaming on the BetMGM app tonight is Guardians and Orioles. It's Cade Povich on the mound. Orioles trying to keep catching the Yankees there, and they're going against the Cleveland Guardians team that is still on fire. Not only is Steven Kwan hitting .390, he bopped a couple homers this past weekend. I mean, if he didn't miss the month, he's a legit MVP candidate. So if you want to watch him and the Guards take on the Orioles, it's 6:35 Eastern. Live streaming available to all customers who are logged in and have funded accounts for BetMGM. And now we can do our locks. We can scroll through Papelbon hitting his parlay. He actually was the boldest on Friday and came through at +185.
Nice.
Good for him. Nice. Good job, Pap. There's your updated money bags. Still a very positive year. It's gaining some attention. So Todd Father. Oh, you're not going to lead the way. We got Pap. We got a Pap's pick. Pap's pick for the world to observe here on Bally Sports for the first time. Welcome to the Pap Gnosticator.
FT Nation, what's up? It's your boy Parlay Pap coming to you live in the air on JetBlue to Boston. That's right, we need a JetBlue sponsor, Mark. Make that happen. In the sun, my boy back here, he's passed out. And we got him the Louis Vuitton carryover, my boy right here with the mohawk in front of me. We ready. We are gonna come through today with this pick, so I had to give it to you live in the air. Okay, you ready? Here we go. The Royals, they're playing the Mounds. I'm taking the Royals in the money line. That's one game. Another game I'm taking, actually it's not a game, it's a pick. The first inning of the Dodgers and the White Sox game. Crochet, your boy Crochet's pitching, AJ. So I'm going zeros in the first inning. That puts my parlay at plus 147. And I'm going 150 to win it in the air, baby.
That would be the last Papnosticator, since right after that they landed the plane and took him off the plane. No, I'm kidding. Pap. Pap is the most devoted picks man we've ever had. He does his picks on the plane. Beautiful.
First of all, I mean, he can't get that first class. Like, he's got to fly JetBlue. I mean, what? He can't get
that's
first class?
some free JetBlue tickets. You know he got free JetBlue tickets.
Hell yeah.
For life.
Good for you, Pap.
The guy behind him was out, though. The guy behind him was out.
Oh, we got his Louis Vuitton. We got his whole freaking outfit now. All right, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm going to be real quick. Dodgers, White Sox. He talked about Crochet. Under 8 at minus 105. I'm going 315 to win 300. Not many runs scored that game. Paxton, I think, is throwing 7-1.
Yeah, I'm on that game too, so I'll follow you with the Dodgers taking on the Sox. And I just have a straight basic Dodgers money line here at minus 130. It's weird. Like, I've seen some sites saying it's TBD, so we were trying to look behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm not 100, but either way,
to make sure Paxton's pitching. But the same with me. Either way, I'm going there. The bullpen's been good. They can ride bullpen days. So I actually thought this one would be a little more tilted towards LA. I mean, it's still LA. Like, obviously, Yamamoto's not in the rotation and Mookie Betts is out, but you got Freddie, you got Ohtani on fire. Had a big weekend against the Angels. So I'll take that money line. Kratz, what do you got?
I'm going to go with a team that doesn't hit fastballs, four-seam fastballs up in the zone, and I'm going to go with the pitcher who gets the most swings and misses on four-seam fastballs up in the top of the zone. So I'm going Freddie over 5.5. I wish I could buy it up to like 8 because I think Freddie's going to have a lot of punchies, and I think the Brewers are going to come through against the Rangers.
I love that one. Yeah, but that's a good call. I thought that would be more in the 6.5 or 7.5 range. Freddie's, I mean, they're kind of up and down, but he's put up some big punch out numbers. AJ, what are you going with?
Everyone's going Dodgers White Sox today. I'm going Dodgers White Sox too, but I'm going a little different than what you guys did. I'm doing a little Pat parlay. I'm going Crochet over 7.5 punch outs against the Dodgers because he just punches out the world now. And then I'm going the Dodgers are going to score over 2.5 runs. So Crochet's going to punch a lot of dudes out. The Dodgers are still going to score some runs, and that gets me to plus 210. That's too hard not to take.
Okay, so there's everyone's picks, and we're calling out our Swing for the Fences promo in the BetMGM app. You can play free to play once a day, and you can win daily prizes as the batter. You pick an area of the zone, and you can get a single, double, triple, homer, fly out, and it is free to play in the app for account holders who play. You'll have the opportunity to win rewards like parlay boost tokens, odds boost tokens, SGP boost tokens, and much more. All rewards expire in 24 hours. We will be right back, and we're looking forward to talking to Hunter Gaddis, one of the bullpen aces for the Cleveland Guardians, very soon. Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unified Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL.
No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE system.
Okay, FT fam, AJ's son has a game, so he's going to bounce a little bit early. But before you do, can you just let everyone know about the little NASCAR appearance that FT will be doing? I got a question in the chat. They were like, why are you saying get your tickets now at NASCARchicago.com? I thought it's a baseball show. I'm like, it is, but we're going to do a special FT live from Chicago with AJ Kip and Alana Rizzo. And it's really soon. It's in like a week and a half.
Well, we are not. Me is, because you guys all didn't want to come to Chicago.
That's
I get
not
it.
true.
I get it. You guys are from the north. You guys don't really understand NASCAR. It's not your fault. But
didn't get invited.
Well, I can't control that either. Talk to
that
Mark.
is true. Kratz was available.
Alana, Kip, and myself are going to be in Chicago July 7th for NASCAR Chicago, the street race. It's really cool. They race right through Millennium Park right there, right by the Bean. Everyone can get their picture with the Bean. And we are going to be there doing a live FT show on a Sunday. Yeah, I know we got to work on a Sunday, but it is pre-NASCAR race. So come out and see us. Come say hi. And you never know what Kip might say or what I might say or what Alana might do, but it's going to be a fun time. And afterwards, after the race over, we can go out in the Kratz's boat and go in the playpen there in Chicago and have a good old time.
Wow. That sounds like a nice little weekend. All right. Well, I'll be watching from long distance. But again, you can get your tickets now at NASCARchicago.com. AJ, we'll see you on Tuesday.
You guys have a great rest of the show. Say hi to Hunter for me.
Yes, we'll do. And you sent us a question. We're going to ask it for you. We got your back.
Thank you.
All right, we will. Good luck to your son in his game. We'll see you on Tuesday, and we'll be right back on FT. All right, we're back. In 3-2. Back on FT Live. All right, so let's spend the next couple minutes before we bring in our guest talking about Christopher Sanchez. Erik Kratz, I know you want to give him some love. He signs a nice little extension. I mean, you should. You're a resident Philadelphia Phillies expert. Were you surprised to see the timing of this one? So, he's been a solid pitcher in the rotation for the Phillies. He signs, 4 years, $22.5 million, but there's 2 club options. So probably going to spend the rest of his career with the Phillies.
I mean, not surprised with the timing because I don't know when these extensions, like the whole, I don't want to talk about extension for, after spring training. I don't know anything about that, but I have been singing this guy's praises since 2021 when he first got called up. And then he was on an absolute roller coaster shuttle, whatever word you want to use. And even when he was on that shuttle, it wasn't like he was regarded as this prospect that, when he comes up, he's only going to do this. I thought the Phillies handled him so well for a team that had a lot already in their rotation, in the sense that they called him up. And this is a credit to Joe Girardi. This is a credit to Topper and the organization for being like, hey, you know what? We're going to call you up because you're our best pitcher to give us 5 innings, to give us 4 innings, to give us 6 innings. So he was constantly up, start. Oh, wow, you did so well. Okay, we're going to push you into the bullpen. Give up a few runs in kind of a blowout game, sent back down, called back up. So it was something that they handled him as well as they could handle a guy in that situation. And now that they've given him a longer leash, they paid him. I mean, they gave him what he deserves. And to me, as a pitcher, a young pitcher like this, there's no better guarantee or there's no better feeling than to have that money just coming in, and now you can go out and pitch exactly like he did in his first outing after his extension. 7 innings, I think 1 run or no runs. I think they might have given up 1 late, but he has been awesome.
Kratz, let me ask you this, dude. I feel like he didn't get enough, man. Is that I don't know. 4 years, $22 million with a guy that can exceed some expectations coming up here and the way he's been throwing. I'm not saying never to take the money. I'll never say that. Listen, if that's what him and his agent wanted to do, but I feel like they left a lot off the table.
The guarantee is there. The guarantee is there, and the sense that he still has. I think they bought up all his arbitration and the team control. Go ahead. The team control, I think, was 2 extra years.
2 extra years are the club options. And the club options are decent. Depending on some of it's factored in with top 10 sci finishes. I couldn't get all of the nitty gritty on it, but it looked like 16 and 19 mil for those last 2 years. But I get what Todd Father's saying. And some of it has to do with the service time game, right? So you're on league minimum usually for 3-ish years in MLB. Then you're in the arbitration world. But it's funny. That's what does hurt the sport at the same time, because this always takes me back to like the Kyler Murray discussion. You know, you're a baseball player getting selected in the first round, or you can be a quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you could spend 10 years kind of not making that much money. If you get picked out of high school, then you spend some time in the minors, then you're on league minimum salary, you know, like you're not a millionaire for a long time. So for Christopher Sanchez, it's a little bit of a late bloomer, right? He's 27 years old already. He's going to be 28 right when the season ends. So if you don't do something like this, by the time you get to free agency, you might already be hitting your decline period, right? Like he would have been a free agent. He would have been basically 32 years old when he hits free agency. In baseball, for some term, like guys and their projection models talking about GMs, that's old. So he takes some, you know, you got to take your first millions, because also if his arms breaks tomorrow, he didn't make crap, you know?
Yeah, but you can also think, what happens if he does this consistently for 3 or 4 more years? The next thing you know, it's like, but again,
you're right.
You take that money, you don't worry about anything else. If you, your agent or family think this is a good deal, that's great for him. And that's probably what happened. So
I just think it's crazy that it takes this long, like that a team can control a player for such a long period of time. Like Christopher Sanchez, I get what you're saying. I mean, if he's a free agent after this season, he gets at least in the $15 million a year range. I mean, this guy's a playoff starter, right? I mean, he's actually done it, but he's got playoff starter stuff. I listened to a long interview with Sam Fold on Sirius the other day, and he said, you know, they told him to scale it back just a little bit so he could be more in the zone last year, and it worked. This year, they said, let's tick that up again, right? So he's throwing harder, and his stuff's a little bit more out of the zone. His walk rate's up a little bit, but his stuff's playing up even more. They are developing him into potentially a 2 or 3. I mean, he's got that level stuff in my mind with the ground balls and the punch outs. Yeah.
Agreed.
He has the second best ERA in the league right now, in the National League. It's his teammate Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, and Glasnow's up there too. There's somebody in between Glasnow and Wheeler right now, and I'm not 100% sure. I'm blanking on who it is. But Kashota bounced out of there.
Starts. Yep.
And to me, that uptick, yes, we talk about the uptick in velo. He has the body to do it. And when you uptick in velo, you think, okay, maybe some balls are going to be left up in the zone more. He's given up a home run this year. Like, he is giving up such weak contact. And to me, it's because what's crazy is the velocity has upticked. He'll punch some 96, 97s. His changeup has not changed. His changeup velocity is the exact same as it was last year, and he's ticked up 1.5 miles. That is really what's attributing to all his success.
I agree. So you got to give credit to the Phillies front office. They keep locking up their starters, right? They're not going to have problems like other teams do. Look, we're talking about the trade deadline right now and teams having massive issues, and they're going to blame the market. But this can be handled in the offseason. There were players available in the offseason that you have to pay. You know what I'm saying? So what the Phillies do is they recognize that the toughest commodity to get in the game right now is young, controllable starting pitching, and they lock those guys up. And even the veterans, right? So Wheeler's locked up long-term. Nola's locked up long-term. Christopher Sanchez is locked up long-term. Everyone's going to talk about Ranger Suarez now because he's a free agent after next year, and that's probably where you were going, Kratz.
That is where I was going, and I think this will show Ranger that we can talk. Like the Phillies have shown that they want to win, and they don't want to just win for this year and the next year. They want to win for a long span here. And for a guy like Sanchez to get locked up, he wasn't even going to reach arbitration this year. So while it wasn't a ton of money in the sense of like, I'm looking at more of like a Luis Severino when he signed his extension, which the Yankees rarely give any extensions out. And So a guy like this signs, and Ranger Suarez is now like, well, I'd kind of like to be here too. Well, we've kind of been paying some guys, but Taijuan Walker is going to be coming off the books soon. So there could be some money for Ranger. And it's something that in Philly, the Philly fans get behind this, and it'll be cool to see Sanchez continuing to improve, because now he's just settling into his role, and he doesn't even need to be the guy, as they already have Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger. They have 4 legit playoff starting pitchers.
Yeah, they do. And lastly, on the Phillies, because we won't have time for it later, Taijuan Walker hits the shelf. He's got the finger issue from the blister, and the splitter hasn't been working the same for him. But luckily for them, they've got Spencer Turnbull, who can just kind of slot himself right back into the rotation. So they're in a good spot right now. Got to give it to them. Let's go. That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
This one snuck under the radar. I didn't see it in many spots.
No,
but
me neither.
Aaron Judge is not going to participate in the home run derby. He's already taking his name off of the list. I think most Yankee fans are pumped to see that, because the general narrative among fans is still that it could lead to injuries. And if you're this smoking hot and you head to the All-Star break and you're not the same Judge after the break, it doesn't matter if it affected you or not. They're going to blame the derby. We've got our home run derby specialist sitting next to me right now. I just want to preface this by saying Judge mentioned how he essentially is not going to do the derby unless it's in New York. Mm-hmm. But my only thought was, I don't think there's going to be an All-Star game in New York for a while. There were 2 games there not that long ago. You got to kind of go all around the league. Unless I'm missing something, you might never see him in a derby again, or maybe when he's like 39, it gets back to one of the New York ballparks.
No, that's why he probably said it, because there's not going to be one by the time before he retires. But yeah, I mean, if this guy was never injured before, I could see, man, why not do it? But he's been injured. The freak accident in LA, the hand injury, I think, and where they're at in playing, they're clicking right now. They're doing well. They've had a little skid here and there. There are ebbs and flows coming, but they're in first place in the AL East. And he's having one hell of a year considering what he did the first couple weeks, and where everybody's like, oh, there goes Judge. This guy's numbers are freaky. Yeah, I don't see a problem in it. Even though I've done the home run derby a bunch of times. Stay with what you do and move on. I think, it stinks you won't see him. You won't see balls flying out, but there's bigger things in store for him and his team.
He is the guy everyone wants to see, though, Kratz. I mean, it's just that you won't see it. He did the rookie season. He won, and that might be it.
That is it. And what he did there is must-see TV, to the point where when it comes on, when the old reels come on or something across my feed on YouTube, I'm like, I got to rewatch this. Because what he was doing, he was defying what NASA said couldn't happen. Hitting the roof in Miami. When they built it, they were like, well, physically nobody can hit a baseball. Nobody can hit a regular baseball, but the home run derby balls go a little bit farther. And I played with Judgy in 17. So did Todd. And I'm not talking out of turn here. And when Judgy comes on here, we'll ask him. But there was a little bit of a injury that happened, and it was right around the home run derby, his front lead shoulder, and he still won the thing. And then he ended up hitting a home run in August, and it didn't improve until September when he hit 15. So to me, this is great for the Yankees, because it shows he is all in, 100% all in to win a World Series. The rest of baseball kind of struggles.
Yeah, it stinks. It stinks. You'd love to have the best of the best, but the NBA deals with this with the Derby. I mean, once you get one of these, it's heavy.
It's nice, too.
It is nice. It's real pretty. I
got to get her cleaned again.
Yeah, clean that. Shine that John up.
Yeah.
Shine that John up.
My bad.
Got to bring it into town. Yeah. All right, we'll work on that. So Hunter Gaddis, super reliever with the Cleveland Guardians, is coming up next while Todd Father nurses his baby.
So we're trying to grow the game. I think as an ex-player, I would love to see the game in a better place when I'm done in whatever aspect of baseball I'm done in. But how, through player access, do you see a difference in the NFL and the MLB? Because I know a producer that would go in and do Monday Night Football, and the NFL teams would give him access galore on a Thursday or Friday. I forget exactly what he said. And MLB, we call some teams and they're like, we have to keep the players focused because they are not able to talk to you in the media.
I know. It's mandated. I mean, if we go in, even if the guy doesn't want to talk, in the case of like a Bill Belichick, back when Troy and I were first together 20 years ago, he was, let's say, not very forthcoming with information, but he'd sit there and the starting quarterback would sit there and you would get time with them. I'm with you. I mean, we do all-star games and there's some guys in the locker room we'd never met. And you want to go, hey, I've never met Aaron Judge. Can we spend 5 minutes with him? And it's like, we're about to do the all-star game. Like, would it maybe be good to have us have a chance, or Ohtani in 2021? And he came in and was amazing. And then you go on and on about him because he was so open and forthcoming with everything that was going on. And he had just hit in the home run derby the night before and had to be dead tired with pitching and hitting, but they're playing defense on Judge. I think most of the time, maybe I'm wrong, but you guys have been down there. A lot of times the player would be happy to talk, but the PR director plays defense and they don't really ever ask if the player wants to talk to the alien broadcasters coming down to get to know them a little bit better. I think, yeah, some of that access is good when you're doing national games. I mean, it's self-serving because that's what I was doing, but it makes a difference when you can say, hey, we talked to Aaron Judge before this all-star game, and it's been a big first half or whatever, and he's on fumes right now, but he's looking forward to a big second half. A little bit of personal contact is a good thing and helps promote these players as opposed to just keeping them sheltered.
Back on FT with Braun, Todd, Father, Kratz, and our next guest, Cleveland Guardians pitcher Hunter Gaddis, joining us right now. Hunter, great to have you on, man. What a season. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
No, thank you. We appreciate it, dude. Beard game looks strong as usual. I've been watching it work all season long. So let's just start overall with the Guardians' success this season. And be honest, did you expect that we would be having a conversation like this on June 24th where the Guardians are where they're at?
I mean, I don't know about expectations. I think that's the thief of all joy in a type of words like that. But no, I mean, I think we got a good group of guys, good vibes, and everybody's coming in and doing their part.
Best winning percentage in the American League right now belongs to Cleveland. Who is the MVP of the Cleveland Guardians right now?
I mean, it's got to be Stephen Kwan, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's just unreal. He does it day in, day out.
Hosey's online too. Hosey's like, ¿Qué pasó, papi? What's up with that? Come on, man. I do everything.
No, of course. Hosey's always in there. Can't leave him out of anything.
What about David Fry? David Fry is legit too. Like, Stephen Kwan, you're so what a front runner. Unbelievable. You bullpen guys.
I could go on and on. All these guys are doing great, and I love watching it. So, I got all their backs for sure.
Let me ask you this. So you are from Atlanta, Georgia, and long story short, you played against the Braves at Truist Field the other day. Let's be honest, you struggle a little bit. I want to know, was there a little pressure on you? A lot of family there, a lot of friends. Did you feel a little pressure? Or was it like, I just had a bad outing?
It was a lot, coming back home. It was nice to have friends and family come, dream come true for sure. But no, I think it was just I had those 3-game stretch. I think it just happens to the best of us. Try to stay away from them as much as possible.
So you played in a nice stadium, the Braves' new nice stadium. Are you juiced that your alma mater gets to play football in the Braves' real stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I got to go to a couple games down there at the old Turner Field. I mean, I used to live right behind it, so it was a good place to go for all the games. So, I mean, it's a sick kind of football stadium now.
Yeah.
You playing for first-year manager Stephen Vogt. I want you to talk a little bit about him and what he's done for this team and how he is as a manager. I mean, Kratzy knows him real well. I know him real well. We know how he is. We don't know how he manages, though. Talk a little bit about what he is bringing to this Guardian team.
I think it's just like freedom. I mean, he's letting us be us, and I mean, he's even helping us out with whatever it may be. But it's just like I said, the vibes are high, and it starts with him. I mean, he's just really bringing it to the table, getting us ready day in and day out, and I mean, he's a good time.
Has he said anything funny? And can you let us in on any of the funny stuff? Because he was telling me about his first, what he was going to say in his spring training speech that he gave. Has he given you any good Stephen Vogt, like behind the curtain stuff?
Be a pro. That's 3 words. Simple, but no. For us, it's
so basic.
We're just like on that. There's not. I don't know. Nothing too. When he has our meetings and stuff, he's pretty serious. He likes to, say it how it is. But just to be a pro, like, it cracks us up at least.
Let me ask you this.
Fair.
Oh, go ahead, Kratzy.
No, you're good, Todd. You're good.
So your velo is going to tick up here in the recent year. Is there certain off-season training you've done, or it's just, you know what, I'm gripping and ripping for now on and see where it goes?
It's grip and rip. As a starter, it was kind of like, maybe I got to throw 100 pitches here today, and that's not 110% coming out, but it's 110% coming out now. It's just grip and rip, kind of hope for the best when it comes out of the hand.
Come on, you got a .75 whip. Like, you're more than grip and rip. You're putting it middle. Now, I spent a season in AAA with Cleveland. I didn't get called up. I got traded to the Yankees, but I got to see the pitching development. I got to see the algorithm. I don't know if they've ever shown you the algorithm, but Cleveland has always, when they were the Indians and when they were the Guardians, they've always produced starting pitchers. They haven't done so well with relievers. What do you see and why do you think that is? Because the last really significant reliever that they produced out of their system, draft to big leagues, was Cody Allen. But they're producing starting pitchers galore. What do you see as the difference and what can attribute to that?
I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, like you said, Cleveland's been known for, just the pitching side. I mean, before I even knew anything about pitching, really. I mean, you take it back, it was just throw strikes, try not to walk people. That's all I knew. And coming into Cleveland, there's so many numbers out there. I mean, I'm still learning to this day on, like, what everything means. How does it help me? And, I mean, it's just the more knowledge you have, I think the better you can be. So I think that's what they give is just unlimited knowledge on all of your pitches, all the numbers, everything.
Is it frustrating? Is it frustrating when you're in the minor leagues and you're having success that you're like, okay, well, Cleveland, like you go to somebody or they talk to you, well, we've never moved anybody more than, okay, you're going to pitch in low A for half the season. If you do well, you'll go to high A at the end, and then you'll restart at high A. Is that frustrating?
Yeah, I'm sure it can be. I think it's just all about the process. I mean, it seems to have worked, so I'm not going to question them on it. It seems like they get the guys up here and they're ready to go. So, yeah, I can't question it on that.
Yeah.
Hunter, I've got a fan question here from Patrick in our chat. He said, is there any discussion in the clubhouse that they think they're being overlooked in the American League with the Yankees and Orioles being out there? Does that put a chip on the team's shoulder? I'll bounce that to you, but also even back to the Stephen Vogt conversation. Did he at least mix in any of the, they don't expect us to do anything this year?
No, he really didn't. I mean, I'm sure he was a little nervous too. But getting up there for that first time talking in front of the whole team. But I mean, I don't know about the being overlooked or anything for us. It's really just we really just come out every day, show up. I mean, as basic and as lame as it sounds, it's literally that. High vibes. Everybody's got each other's back, and it's just I mean, it's just working well. We're trying to ride it out.
So I'll bring in Kratz for this next question. Let's bring in everyone. So Hunter, Kratz is pretty tight with Vogt. He's known him for a while. He did talk him up big time this offseason. He wasn't bold enough to put the Guardians in the playoffs, but he talked them up big time. Okay, so I want to know if you have any questions for Kratz about how to get to know your big league manager a little bit better, or, even something that you should just drop when you're passing by him that could maybe get him to crack a smile for you.
Oh yeah, I would love some. I'm always walking by the office real quick, give him a look in or doing something. But it's a good time. I mean, if you can give me anything, I would love to walk by him today and see if I can get him to laugh a little.
Ask him to see his little notebook. Okay? Ask him to see his little notebook of notes, which is what you put in a notebook. But he started a little when he thought his career was over. He started a little notebook. Ask him to see it and see some of his scribbles. I don't know if he likes you enough yet to get in that book, but it'll get a smile.
All right, that's perfect. That's all I'm looking for right there.
Hey, I'm going to ask you something odd right now, but can you just put your hand up like this to the screen? Your right hand?
All right. Hand?
Yeah, right hand. I don't
Looks
see much sticky on there.
Looks clean.
All right, we're good. So Edwin Diaz.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I think that's what we have to do whenever a pitcher comes on. We have
Yeah.
to, so just in case an umpire's watching, so they know they don't have to check them. But you saw, I'm sure you've seen the Edwin Diaz thing yesterday. There was a picture of his hand and the goob on that thing. Goob. I don't even know what you call it.
Gabagoob.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Just talk a little about what's going on. It's tough to see because you want to make sure you can grip the ball, but at the same time, it's kind of like a sticky rule that you don't know what you can put on your hand here. So you guys see it all the time. I know you understand it, but going out there with nothing on your hand, it's got to be tough sometimes.
Yeah, definitely can be tough, especially with how hot it is. You get some sweat down on the fingers. It's real tough. But I haven't even seen any pictures on his. I mean, I know I heard about it through the teammates, so I haven't seen what it looks like. But, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Definitely, I mean, the rosin helps a ton, especially if you're sweating a lot. I try and, use it, get it on my, wrist a little bit, keep the sweat from getting down to my hand. But that's the big thing about it.
Are you fearful of it? Are you fearful since we just had Danny Coulombe on in earlier – reliever from the Orioles, who's now hurt, but are you fearful of it? Do you guys talk about it in the bullpen? Is Emmanuel Clase sitting out there and being like, hey, Poppy, I don't know. I can't put anything. Don't touch my hand. I'm about to go in the game because you guys could get popped, just based on what the umpire feels like is too sticky or sticky.
It actually hasn't been brought up at all. I've never been a part of using anything. I mean, I really don't even like rosin. I mean, I'm a guy, I lick my fingers between each pitch. So that's about all I have ever used and all of, I guess, I really needed. Only thing is sweat, but I mean, no, we haven't talked about it too much at all.
Do you guys talk about, and this was something I just randomly saw today, that you guys are technically you have the highest winning percentage, but you guys are technically 5 games behind the Yankees right now, compared to the Yankees in the sense of how many games you've played. Do you guys look ahead at the schedule since you bullpen guys have so much time on your hands and go, we got to somehow make up, not that you're catching the Yankees, just that you have more games to play. You have played 5 less games. Do you feel like, oh no, we've had these rainouts, we have this off day, or do you guys never look ahead that much?
I mean, I definitely look ahead. I try and, find the off days and try and see what time I can get a tee time. But, no, I don't think we're too worried about that. We're just playing ball.
Hey, if you need a tee time, I don't know if you guys have come to Philly yet. Don't be afraid to reach out. Tell Voter, reach out. I have a guy in Philly that can get you tee times on the nicest courses in the world are all around Philadelphia. So
here we go.
Yeah, I'm down for sure.
Yeah. Have Voter reach out to me. Because that means he would have to actually text me and not me texting him.
And if he doesn't know Kratz's number, it's probably in his journal.
Yeah, there's no
notebook. He'll be able to.
It's not a journal.
Check
It's
the notebook if you can't find it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Hunter, thanks for swinging by, man. Keep doing your thing. It's been fun to watch you, and of course, Cleveland. Good to get to know you a little bit on here, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me on. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Hunter Gaddis with us on FT Live, repping the Cleveland Guardians. We'll be right back.
Craig Albernaz, our bench coach, I think he brought over a new way of using the PitchCom, which is pretty interesting. Where we basically have we turned I think like 18 options into like almost 30 plus options on there with like multiple clicks of these buttons, which I didn't even know was a thing. When he was explaining to me in camp, I was like, I don't even know what that means, bro. So like he's showing me how to do it, and it's wild. So it's like, I mean, we have every pitch, every location, pickoffs, back picks, first and third plays, bunt defense plays. But it's just a generic voice, sadly. I know how much everybody likes listening to me talk, but it's just a generic voice on this one.
They actually like looking at you. They don't like listening to you. You have a face. You have a face for TV. I have a face for radio. So there's a big difference.
I totally agree with you there, Kratzy.
Tell me what. Like, are you doing like A start, up, down, left, right, select, B, A? Like, is there like things that Craig like unlocked? Is he the PitchCom wizard?
Dude, I mean, in a way, like I thought like us a couple years ago, changing it to like my voice and making like certain buttons make more sense to like, how we'd call a game. I thought that was like super nuanced, but we still had like 18 options or something. I mean, this guy came over and brought in, like I said, like I think we have over 30 options. I couldn't even tell you what all of them are right now, but it's pretty impressive. And it makes our jobs a whole lot easier. I mean, AJ Kratz, I know how much you guys love going out for first and third signs and giving like, all right, first touch, second touch, like, what are we doing? Now you click a button that says throw the ball to second base, and it's like, oh, that's so much better.
No, dude, you didn't like going out there being like, hey, first and third for everyone. Hey, the shortstop's back there like looking. He's like, you're like, hey, everybody, look. And you run the same play every time, even though you give like a million signs. You're like, yeah, we're throwing it through. If the guy steals, we're screwed anyways. Or you're doing the pump fake. Like, it was like,
everybody knows. Everybody, less than 2 outs, probably throwing through. 2 outs, probably pump faking. Okay, here we go.
End on your chest. I'm eating it right
Better than box scores time. I'm going to try and get through as much as I can in the next 5 minutes. So first off, I'm just going to mention a few sweeps, and you give me the one that you think was most significant, okay? Some stuff we didn't get to. The Cardinals sweep the Giants. St. Louis is now 24-13 since May 12th. Sonny Gray dominated. What a signing that's been for them, too. He had the perfecto broken up by Patrick Bailey. Not even a bad pitch from what I remember. Kind of tailing in. Nice get from Bailey. No, it was a bad pitch. A little hanger.
Cutter down and in. He's trying to go up and in there. He doesn't get to it if he goes up and in, but he knew he left it down and in. Easy spot for a lefty to clip him.
Okay. And that's why you're you, and that's why I'm me, and I didn't play. Astros sweep the Orioles. They outscored them 27-13 over the weekend. They have 2 coming up against Colorado. If they win both, which is definitely likely, then they're back to 500 already. And that is why you do not freak out about a team and start going nuts and saying they should sell all their pieces. Framber was really good over the weekend. Kratz, can you back me up here? I've been pretty steadfast on saying Houston is likely to buy at the trade deadline. They do not think their winning window has closed yet.
Yeah, you've been all on that train, and they're proving you right now. But they have been hot, and they're still 6 games back of Seattle. I don't know that there's a wild card coming out of coming out of the West. So that's their mark. They have to catch Seattle. And this was a series. To be able to sweep the Orioles, you circled that and you're like, man, if we can get 2 of 3, and they swept them. And it wasn't even really close. They dominated that series.
But do you know who holds the wild cards right now?
I'm looking right now too. That's what I said.
Baltimore, Boston, and Minnesota. Royals are a half game out. Like, I'm sorry.
Houston's on 4.
Houston's 4 away. Is Houston better than KC? Probably, especially if they add a little. Also, I mean, I know we got to see what happens, but Garcia and even McCullers are supposed to come back at some point for this team. Minnesota's solid. Cleveland obviously has shown their force. I think Boston's going to slip. I mean, I am shocked that they are where they're at right now, but we'll see. And Houston's in that soft part of the schedule right now that we talked about.
Yeah. I don't mean to change gears, but this just came in my corner of my eye.
Yeah.
You know the Nationals are a half game out of the wild card?
I do.
Wow.
I would love to see them add. I said it in the offseason, I didn't go too hard on them, but I was like, I wish they did a little, everyone said, a little Jason Worth type signing in the offseason, especially in an offseason when most teams sat out. That's the kind of time that you're looking for a team to jump in. But anyway.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Incredible.
It's a good call. You want to look at the Philly fans looking at the pitch clock, or do you want to do the pitch clock violation for the Nats game or Soto? You get to pick one. Which one do you guys feel passionate about? Last topic for box scores.
No, we can kind of just dive like the Soto thing. You can't go out of the box when you're trying to call timeout. That's just common sense. You say timeout. Don't put your hand up and don't leave the box. He was already ready to pitch. I thought that was the right call by the umpire. And then, is that the first of its kind? Somebody losing a game on the pitch clock?
With Kyle Finnegan in the 9th?
In the regular season. We had one in spring training, and they were like, no way this will happen no way they'll have a walk-off.
Incredible.
Yep, did it.
Listen, there was nobody out with bases loaded, 3-1 count anyway, but baseball's crazy. I won a Little League game 2 days ago. 1st and 3rd, tie game. I've never seen this before, Kratz. Guy hits a clean single to the right side, bottom 6th, last inning, and they would have scored. The runner ran into the ball with 1 out. Umpire goes, time, go back. We struck the next guy out. We won an extra innings. I was like, I've never seen it before. So never say never in baseball. I don't care what the score or what it is.
Here's Soto, the play that you were talking about earlier.
Oh, he called time right before Joe threw that pitch.
No, he didn't, and the at-bat is over. Even better, it is not automatic when you call timeout that you're going to get timeout. It was too close for Joe Jimenez to get ready to throw the pitch that he wanted to throw, and that was amazing to see, and Juan Soto is furious.
Chris Conroy. I think Chris Conroy handled it well, and I think Joe Jimenez, who was on the mound, that's kind of the gamesmanship. That's the football side of the play clock where it's like, I don't need to hike this ball. I don't need to throw this pitch at 3 seconds every time. I can wait till the very last second, kind of gets a hitter a little like, and he played it well. I think everybody in that spot did everything they should have done in that situation, except Soto.
And Joe Jimenez is going to tell the kiddos one day, and that's how I struck out Juan Soto, kids.
He should have did the shuffle like when he did it afterward.
All right, let's slap.
That was a big spot.
Oof.
I just want to reiterate, this was our first go-around on Bally Sports TV on national television, wherever you get your Bally Sports TV channels, and on the Bally Sports app. Of course, we're still on the FT YouTube channel running live every day, so I'm proud of everyone. We got through a lot.
It was good.
A lot of juice, a lot of topics today. I think there was only one on my entire checklist that we didn't get to. It was actually, surprisingly, the Yanks. They acquired J.D. Davis just in time for the Subway Series, and that partially has to do with Big G going on the IL. It was off to a nice start, but the hamstring is very chronic at this point. It's kind of always going to be a problem for him, and he's just kind of jogging around the bases. It lets out, and he's got to sit out for a while.
True. It's sad because he's not running it hard either, so that's the tough part of the whole thing.
But the body's breaking down. I mean, I think that's been obvious. Some people are like, what's wrong? What's he doing wrong? Training, whatever. I'm like, I think it's beyond that, Kratz. Like, it's a structural issue or whatever you want to call it. Like it's chronic. It's not going anywhere.
I can't say what it is because I'm not a doctor. It sucks for G, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I said this when Garrett Cole went down in spring training. This might actually help. And the reason it helped for pitching is other dudes were like, hey, we don't have our horse. We need to step up. For G going down, he's going to be rested up. He's going to get his swing back just in time for playoffs for that September, October run. But what it does, it opens up a DH spot that you have to get your guys off their feet. And it opens that spot up. Oh, they get Gold Glove Trent Grisham to be able to fill in during this time. Pretty easy for him. And now you'll see a couple more Judge DH times, which is huge. Get Soto off his feet. It could help the team, especially since they're already winning a lot. I think it could actually help.
And people said that about Cole. You know, as long as he's okay.
Yeah.
He's been 200-plus inning monster, tons of playoff pitching. Maybe Cole's thriving heading into October. Again, you know, I always get worried about the elbow stuff like we talked about with Bradish. Yep. I know it's a different injury, but if he is okay, if the elbow is structurally okay, that's pretty big. Yep. So we'll see what happens with Big G. And regardless, I mean, it's a playoff team. It's just a matter of if they're a division-winning team or a wild card team.
We'll see.
We'll see. But again, appreciate everyone for joining us for the maiden voyage here on Bally Sports TV. You know, it's been a nice ride for FT since we launched about a year and a half ago, and we're trying to just be as available as possible to as many humans as possible. So if you're new to the party, we're going to be here every single weekday on Bally Sports TV, of course, still on FT YouTube and all the social channels and everything that we do there. We talk to players every day. We talk to writers, insiders like Ken Rosenthal is part of the FT fam. He has his own show, by the way, Fair Territory, that came out today, and it's Mondays and Thursdays. If you want to check that out, search for it. So for the FT fan that's on YouTube, we'll do a few more minutes. For Bally Sports TV fans, we will see you on Tuesday on FT. Jarren Duran and Ken Rosenthal, part of the guest list tomorrow. All right, we got 2 minutes left for the FT YouTube fam, and I know some of you have been asking questions, so yeah, this is how we run it. We got to a lot today. I will say we did this last year, right, when we had some time on Stadium. It keeps us on our toes and kind of disciplines us a little bit sometimes to get moving on more topics, and I know fans sometimes will hear us talk about one thing and then say, hey, are you guys going to get to blank? I think this will get us to a lot more on a daily basis, so we're excited about it. Kratz hats, what do you got?
Well, I'm disappointed. I have my own hat today, but I'm disappointed I didn't get to wear the shirt that you twinsies are wearing today. That's so nice of you guys. You guys look so good.
You should have worn your son's hat, man. Your son's team hat with that crap.
He needs it for his game.
Yeah, I need to wear it when I'm out there. It's Georgia. Dude, I'm sweating like Todd at the home run derby. It is so hot out there.
I give that hat an F minus.
Oh, you mean a PH? You mean a PH F? Okay, that's fair.
Play a hater F.
Play a hater.
Too funny.
Scott said, "Can we do another hour?" We cannot, but yes, we can do another hour tomorrow. We'll do two.
Mondays we should. Mondays we should because there's so much. There's so much that goes on the weekend. I get it, but it's just the weekend had a lot of stories that you're right we couldn't get to. Sorry about that, fans.
Exactly. But we'll get to more tomorrow and every weekday as usual. Dodgers territory is coming up next with Clint and Alana. I'm sure they will actually get to a topic that we did not get to cover much, which was Shohei Ohtani against the Angels, bopping homers.
He's hot.
And on fair territory, Ken talked about the chances for Ohtani to be the first DH to win MVP. Obviously, there's competition, but could it ever happen? So Kenny Ballgame talked about it. You'll get Alana and Clint talking about Ohtani's weekend, and you'll get us back on Tuesday. But proud of the FT fam. Thank you behind the scenes for doing it seamlessly. It's been a really cool ride here, and now you just get more FT and more places. So we'll see everyone on Tuesday. For Jarren Duran, your boy.
You're coming, baby.
Team USA.
Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah.
Mr. Triples Machine.
He's a fun guy. He's a character. He's got some good answers sometimes on
Oh,
interviews.
yeah, you'll like him.
Yeah,
You'll
he's
like him.
spunky. Is that a good way to put it?
It's a good way of putting it.
Spunky, Mr. Triples Machine.
With a side of attitude.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Dodgers territory. Stay here. Actually, yeah, we'll flip you right over to the DT YouTube channel so you can have fun with them. We'll see you Tuesday.